Aspinall's a freak. Like, I've seen a lot of heavyweight, even Francis, who's like the greatest, scariest power striker I've ever seen in the heavyweight division. No one's scarier than Francis. Francis does not move like Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is significantly faster than every other heavyweight. That's a real problem. That's a real problem.
Do you think Jon is ducking you?
Yes.
Was that Tom?
I think, I said, yeah, he is. He definitely is. I think that there's just an easier path for him. And I understand it. I do understand it completely. I understand that there's bigger fights out there for him with way less risk and way more money. I understand it.
Joe Rogan recently warned Jon Jones not to underestimate Tom Aspinall, emphasizing that there are two fighters Jones should never label as easy opponents. Rogan made it clear that the fight against Aspinall won't be as simple as Jones might think, describing him as a serious and potentially dangerous threat to Jones's legacy. According to Rogan, Aspinall is unlike previous challengers who crumbled under the pressure of facing Jon Jones. He's faster, more explosive, and far more unpredictable than anyone Jones has encountered in the heavyweight division.
It doesn't matter about Jon. I'm trying to be the undisputed heavyweight champion. That's it. It is the interim heavyweight championship. Does that bother you? I'm currently ranked #1 in the world, which is amazing. But I want to be known as the best. I think there should be like one face, one name, every division. I obviously want it to be me, whereas Jon's like doing some weird stuff about it. Problem is the fact that he's sitting on the belt and not doing anything. For me personally, I'm trying to knock people unconscious, man.
Aspinall has knocked out multiple top-ranked opponents in the first round, blending elite-level boxing with high-level grappling, a rare combination in the heavyweight division. His knockout of Marcin Tybura lasted just over a minute, and his clinical finish of Sergey Pavlovich was cold and calculated. These weren't wild, opportunistic swings. They were well-rehearsed and executed under pressure. More importantly, Aspinall wasn't playing catch-up in any of these fights. He dictated every moment. That level of composure, especially in a division where one clean shot can end everything, is what makes him such a dangerous
Sitting here, if you had to put your money on it, what do you think is the headliner of UFC 317?
If I had to put my money on it, I think they convinced Tom Aspinall to fight Cyril Gane.
Yeah, that's.
I think if I had to put my money on it, I think that's the one that's being this far out. Like we're a couple weeks away.
2 months.
Yeah, we're 2 months out, and I think that they'll throw a number.
Rogan, who has seen countless hype trains rise and fall over the years, described Aspinall as the future of the heavyweight division. He recognizes when a fighter isn't just skilled, but also calm under pressure, and that's exactly what he sees in Aspinall. The ability to stay loose, read situations, and react instinctively rather than overthink is rare, and Aspinall has it. That composure is a key part of what sets him apart from the kind of opponents Jon Jones was defeating at light heavyweight.
I feel like I deserve a shot. That being said, I'm also a professional fighter. I'm not fighting at the moment. That isn't really my fault, though. That's more to do with the UFC. They really, really want to make the fight with me and Jon Jones.
For over a decade, Jon Jones's greatest strength has been his ability to control pace and distance, luring opponents into traps they didn't realize they were walking into. A strategy that worked against fighters like Glover Teixeira, Lyoto Machida, and even Daniel Cormier. But Aspinall is a completely different kind of threat. He doesn't inch forward, he explodes. He doesn't hesitate in grappling exchanges, he initiates them. Most importantly, he doesn't wait for opportunities, he creates them. That's what Rogan is trying to emphasize. This isn't just another title challenger with a padded record. This is a fighter who can end the bout in under a minute, and knows it.
People are starting acting surprised. Oh, Jon's a duck, this, that, and the other. Jon Jones ducked Francis Ngannou for 3 years. Like, don't be surprised that this guy always takes fights where he's at the advantage.
Rogan said Jones better not think this is going to be a walk in the park. He wasn't just referring to the physical danger. He was talking about legacy. One loss to Aspinall could change the entire narrative around Jones's heavyweight run, wiping away the mystique he rebuilt with his return against Cyril Gane, and casting his time away from the sport in a much harsher light. People would begin to question whether he waited too long, whether the game evolved without him, and whether this could be another Anderson Silva scenario. Those doubts only surface if he loses. But Rogan sees that not just as a possibility, but as a very real risk.
Call me a duck, call me a chicken, call me a goat, call me a dog. I'm not in high school anymore, I guess. There's an old man out here feeding the shit. If I got to live with an old man, I'm gonna call it duck. Should affect me.
Jones has always been a tactician, even in wild brawls with Alexander Gustafsson or dominant performances against Shogun Rua. There was a calculated intent behind every move. But Rogan's concern is that someone like Aspinall can't be prepared, for in the usual way because he doesn't give you time, he doesn't give you space, and worse, he doesn't follow a rhythm. Fighters are trained to recognize patterns. Aspinall breaks them. Rogan highlighted this by pointing out Aspinall's strange, almost unnatural speed for a heavyweight. The UFC appears to be moving toward this unification bout, which would finally bring clarity to a division stuck in title limbo. But beneath all the promotional hype, Rogan's warning stands out. He's not saying Jones can't win. He's saying that if Jones treats this like just another title defense, he's already behind. That kind of misjudgment doesn't just lead to a tough fight. It leads to a short, painful
wrestling and engage with the punch, but I touched him early on and I gently kicked in. I just hopped out the game plan. No excuse. He was the better man that night. All the praise goes to him.
It wouldn't be the first time Rogan's instincts about Jon Jones leaned toward caution. Years ago, when Jones was publicly entertaining the idea of crossing over into boxing to face the Klitschko brothers, Rogan urged him to think twice. At the time, Vladimir and Vitaly Klitschko were nearing the end of a decade of dominance, yet remained anything but easy targets. The Ukrainian brothers weren't just champions. They were a wall that heavyweight contenders repeatedly crashed into. Together, they amassed an almost unbelievable resume, including 40 total world title fight wins and a spot in the Guinness World Records. They weren't just powerful punchers, they were scientists in the ring. Vladimir mastered the art of distance control, while Vitaly systematically broke down opponents with surgical pressure. Skills honed over a lifetime in pure boxing. Jones, with no professional boxing experience, still considered stepping into the ring with them. And Rogan's caution then, just like now with Aspinall, came from recognizing when danger isn't just hypothetical. It's real.
Showing up for a paycheck. That's not the Stipe of old. That was in his prime anymore. So, I don't think anything special that performance. I think Jon needs to stop ducking Tom Aspinall, just like he ducked Nagano. He ducked Nagano for years. Now he's ducking Aspinall. So he doesn't want to fight the guys he knows he's getting his ass whooped against. So I don't think anything special to Jon.
That idea bordered on delusional. Speaking to TMZ at the time, he said, "I think anybody who thinks they can box with one of the very best boxers the heavyweight division has ever seen, without being just a professional boxer for a long period of time is kind of kidding themselves." It wasn't a personal attack, it was a dose of realism. There's a clear line between chasing greatness and setting yourself up for failure, and in Rogan's view, Jones, who was untouchable, in MMA, would have been completely out of his depth in the boxing world.
My man, I'm excited to see you win. You got 10 years left, but you're still I'm done. I'm looking forward to seeing you again, Camille. You look great. Yeah. Let's do some business.
As Rogan noted, Vladimir Klitschko hadn't lost in a decade, and had defeated some of the most dangerous fighters in the sport, including Shannon Briggs, David Haye, Hasim Rahman, and Derek Chisora, none of whom had cracked the Klitschko code. So for Jones, who had never boxed professionally, to think he could step in and beat someone like Vladimir struck Rogan as naive at best. Even Junior Dos Santos, who also considered fighting the Klitschko brothers, claimed he only needed 4 months of training, but that fight never materialized either, which is probably for the best for everyone involved.
What is this pound for pound bull? It's a load of rubbish. It's like saying, it just doesn't even make sense. Like, don't get me started on that. It's just like, how can you have a pound for pound?
The same cautionary tone Rogan used back then is now being applied again. Only this time, the arena is MMA, and the opponent isn't a Ukrainian boxer, but Tom Aspinall. Yet the core message remains unchanged. Underestimating elite opponents, especially those at the peak of their powers, is how even the greatest fighters suffer shocking losses. In Rogan's view, if Jones doesn't take Aspinall seriously from the very first second of the fight, he'll learn the hard way that heavyweight MMA in 2025 is nothing like what he left behind.
And Tom simply doesn't have a legacy. Get me out of bed. You know, he's not that important. And Alex Pereira now, and he is a person that I believe would be, I want to use the word worthy of being in there with me. I mean, Tom is exciting, and a lot of young things are well.
In a series of candid social media responses, the UFC's reigning heavyweight champion opened up about what's really happening behind the scenes, addressing swirling rumors of fear, retirement, and UFC politics with brutal honesty. While some fans view his words as evasive, others are starting to understand that this isn't about avoiding an opponent. It's about legacy, leverage, and the complex business of being Jon Jones. Jones hasn't set foot in the octagon since defeating Stipe Miocic at UFC 309 last November, a fight that was meant to be the crowning moment of his heavyweight reign, solidifying his GOAT status after a 3-year absence and a jump in weight class. But since then, the division has moved forward, just not in his favor. Tom Aspinall has risen rapidly through the ranks, dismantling opponents with ruthless efficiency and capturing the interim heavyweight title. With the full championship belt still around Jones's waist, fans have been expecting a unification.
And of course, it's been pretty interesting, all the stuff that Jon Jones has been saying to the media this week, and I'm sure there's more to come, but check out these.
You're beating guys who aren't even champions, and you consider yourself a champion. He's not a champion.
So Jon said I need to fight more champions, but this is the problem I've got. Jon is the champion, and he won't fight me. And he says that he won't fight me because it's too much of a gamble.
But the fight hasn't happened, and in the absence of action, speculation has filled the void. A common accusation has taken hold online, that Jon Jones is scared to fight Tom Aspinall. Aspinall has won 8 of his 9 UFC bouts, most by quick stoppage, and he possesses a level of explosive athleticism that few heavyweights can match. To many, it seems obvious that Jones is avoiding the Brit. One fan on X even bluntly said, "You're scared." It's a sentiment that's really sad to hear from those who should respect a fighter considered by many to be the
Talk about
GOAT.
Jon Jones. What he generally does with his style is he's very long, 6'4". I mean, not as tall for a heavyweight, but he fights kind of here and does a lot of this kind of stuff. And his attacks are very varied. So he'll go this way on the front leg. He'll go here. He'll also bring the head kicks up. He'll fake the takedowns.
Jones didn't ignore the criticism. Instead, he responded not with denial, but with a deeper explanation. "It really has nothing to do with fear," he wrote. "The question I ask my close friends and family is, how much higher can a person like me climb in this sport? The goal for athletes is to build a brand, and then take that brand to become so much more than just an athlete. A lot of fans and fighters aren't used to seeing someone go out on top the way I have. I get that. It's uncomfortable, and I don't expect people to understand territories they've never been to."
I think he could have a chance future in the UFC, but the only champion he's ever fought against or beat was Andrei Arlovski, who way past his prime. So it's like you're beating guys who aren't even champions, and you consider yourself a champion. I would say the person that's most deserving, it would be Alex Pereira. Alex has beat many champions. He's knocking out everybody left and right. Type of fights that I'm looking for.
This wasn't a declaration of retirement, nor was it a direct call-out. It was something in between. A reflection from a man who's done it all, seen it all, and is now openly questioning what's left. That uncertainty, that refusal to fully commit, is exactly what's fueling so much tension in the division. Aspinall, for his part, has stopped waiting. "Jon Jones retired," he said during an appearance on the Good Guy vs. Bad Guy podcast. "If you don't follow Jon on social media, the guy is living his best life. He's had a fantastic career. We all know that. Jon's a religious man, so I want to say, God bless him moving forward in whatever he does in his life and career. As for me, I'm the undisputed champion of
Jon Jones scared to fight you.
Yes. Jon is conning the public. The fact that he didn't want to fight Ngannou for 3 years, and now he's not wanting to fight me for over a year.
Is that fight happening?
The UFC is saying that it's going to happen. I think it's down to him and Dana.
Dana loves Jon Jones.
He's trying to grease up his ego.
That might sound like a stretch. After all, Jones still technically holds the official title. But to Aspinall and many fans, perception is reality. Aspinall defended his interim belt by stopping Curtis Blades in just 60 seconds. He's active, dominant, and, most importantly, willing to fight. If one guy is thinking about retiring, he's retired, Aspinall said. I ain't thinking about retiring. I'm thinking about getting this division active, making the heavyweight division great again. The frustration isn't limited to Aspinall, or even his fellow contenders. Fans have begun to turn as well. At UFC 316's pre-fight press conference, chants of "Strip Jon Jones" broke out from the crowd, sparked by a question referencing a growing petition calling for the UFC to remove Jones's title. That public reaction seemed to hit a nerve.
It's just like his fans have been so annoying, and obviously you don't get this far in a career affected by fans or whatnot. But he's just an asshole, he's 30, so he's from this influencer generation where you hop online and t-shirt sales and all that. I'm past that type of thing. I'm like, bro, if you had a little bit more respect, then maybe we could have worked something out, but
Jones fired back, revealing his long-game strategy and pulling back the curtain on how the UFC has handled his title reign. I spoke to the UFC a long time ago about what my future plans were. I haven't really worked out since my last fight, in New York City, he said. Honestly, I believe it's been in the UFC's best interest to keep presenting me as the company's champion, not Tom. That's a heavy statement. In essence, Jones is saying he's not the one holding up the division, the UFC is. Even in his absence, he draws eyeballs, headlines, and pay-per-view sales, and from a financial standpoint, that alone makes him worth keeping in the spotlight, even if he's not actively competing. So, if you want more updates like this, subscribe to my channel.